All right, hi guys. Today we're going to be doing homework for section 2.2 in BJU Press. We're starting on page 73, and this is about the distributive property. So first off, numbers 1 through 11. Number 1, the directions are use the distributive property to complete each equivalent expression. So basically, we're just finding the missing puzzle pieces. And number 1, the first one should end up being, here, I'll just write the original. So 7 times the quantity x plus y equals 7 blank plus 7 blank. So in this case, you're distributing the 7 to the things in parentheses. That means you're going to be multiplying 7 times x plus 7 times y. Number 2, negative 5 times 3 plus, I'm going to put this in parentheses just because I like to see it better like that. Negative 5 times 2 equals something times the quantity 3 plus 2. All right, so in this case, whatever the blank would be was whatever was multiplied by both 3 and 2. In this case, the negative 5 was multiplied by both 3 and 2. So this one they are undoing, in a sense, the distributive property. Number 3, we have 8 times the quantity blank minus blank. And that's going to equal 8 times 4 minus 8 times 7. So it's telling you that 8 is being distributed to two numbers inside parentheses here. So I can see on the other side of the equal sign that the 8 was multiplied by 4 and the 8 was multiplied by 7. That means the two numbers inside here are 4 and 7. All right, so give me 1 second here. We'll do number 4. Number 4 is negative 10x. Number 4, negative 10x plus 2x equals the quantity blank plus blank multiplied by x. So the x is on the back end of the parentheses here. It is multiplied by both a negative 10 and a positive 2, which means we've got a negative 10 and a 2. Number 5. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression, then simplify if possible. All right, so because the directions ask you to use the distributive property, you should have written, this is the original problem, 2 times the quantity, 8 plus 7. But then you should have this step written in here, which is 2 times 8 plus 2 times 7. So when you do your chapter 2 test, if the directions say, show using the distributive property, you must have this step. Next thing would be simplify. 16 plus 14, so your answer is 30. Number 6, negative 5 times the quantity, 3 plus 19. So must have this distributive step here. Negative 5 times 3 plus negative 5 times 19. Multiply this out, negative 15 plus, I don't have my calculator, I should have grabbed that, but I didn't, so I'm going to do some side work here. Negative 95, that means I have two negatives, same sign, it means I find the sum, which is add. So my final answer is 110, and it's negative because both of them were negative. Number 7. 6 times the quantity 2 minus b. Distribute the 6. So 6 times 2 minus 6 times b. We can do the 6 times 2 and get 12, but we're just going to leave this as minus 6b. Number 8. 7 times the quantity d plus 5. Distribute the 7 gives us 7d plus 7 times 5. I can't simplify the 7d at all, but I can do 7 times 5 and get 35. Number 9. Negative 8 times the quantity 4 minus x. Distribute the negative 8. Negative 8 times 4 minus negative 8 times x. Negative 8 times 4 gets me negative 32. Right here, I see minus, and it's going to end up being a negative 8x. So this is not pretty math. We don't like to see two negatives next to each other, but I do know that minus is add the opposite. So my final answer is negative 32 plus 8x. Number 10. Negative 7 times the quantity d minus 9. So negative 7d minus negative 7 times 9. We get negative 7d minus negative 63. Negative 7d plus 63 is your final answer. Number 11. Use the distributive property to compute each product. So 6 times 42. So what you want to do is keep the 6 out front and split the 42 up into 40 plus 2. Now you can distribute. This is how we actually do mental math. We talked about this in class. Breaking your number up into a 10, like 40 is 10, 20, 30, 40. It's a 10. So if you split it up into 40 plus 2, it makes your mental math go a lot quicker, because 6 times 40 is much easier to do than 6 times 42. Also, 6 times 2 is much easier to do than 6 times 42. So if we do the two easy parts and add them up, we get 252. Number 13. 7 times 98. So we have 7 times the quantity 90 plus 8. 7 times 90 is 630, plus 7 times 8 is 56. Add them up, we get 686. Number 15. Negative 8 times negative 34. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say 8 times 34, because I've got a negative times a negative, and that gets me a positive. Now I will split it up. 30 plus 4, that gives me 240 plus 32. Final answer is 272. Number 17. How can the distributive property be used to do math mentally? So that's exactly what we were just doing in the last few. You can split the larger number. Split the larger number into a sum of two addends. So we split the larger number into a sum of two addends. And then apply distributive property. Number 19. All right, flip the page here. Number 19, use the distributive property to find the value of each variable. Okay, so in number 19, we have 8 times the quantity b minus 7 equals 8 times 6 minus 8 times 7. In this case, b would have to be the 6. That's the thing that's missing and would match up. So right here's the b. It would match up with the 6. So if you multiply 8 times b, it's telling you on the other side 8 times 6. So that means the b is 6. 21. The quantity 2 plus 13 times 17 equals 2 times 17 plus c times 17. C equals 13. Number 23. 6 times the quantity 4 minus 15 equals 6 times the quantity 4 plus 6z. Ooh, this is tricky. Did you notice that the minus sign is switched out? So it was originally a minus 15 in the parentheses, but now it says plus 6z. So that leads me to believe that z had to be a negative 15. Number 25. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression. 9 times 3 plus 9 times z. So in here, I can see that the 9 was distributed to the 3 and the z. So I'm going to back it up. So basically, I'm undoing the distributive property. I'm going to do 9 times the quantity, 3 plus z. Number 27. 27 is 17y plus yz. Okay, so this one is, you've got to, just to remember that you can switch around. You can apply the commutative property of multiplication, because I noticed that I have a common y in both of them, but they're not first. The y isn't first in both of them. So I'm going to rewrite y 17 plus y z. And I'm allowed to do that here because commutative property of multiplication, you can switch the order. So if I do y17 plus yz, now I can see that the y is the thing being distributed to the 17 and the z. Number 29. 6x squared minus 7x. All right, so this has two x's because x squared means xx, x times x. This has one x. So that means there is an x that is distributed. Let's pull it out. Because they have the x's written second, I'm going to write it at the end of my parentheses. If I take one of the x's out of 6x squared, that means I still have 6x. If I take one of the x's out of 7x, I'm just left with 7. And then I put the x on the end there. It would be fine if the x was in front. It really doesn't matter. It's the same answer. Let me see. So we're supposed to do up to 37 odd. Okay, so 31. 31. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression, then simplify if possible. So we have the quantity r plus 2 times 13. So that means we're distributing this way because the 13's in the back. Generally, we write the coefficient first. If you remember your vocab word, the constant number that's in front of a variable is called the coefficient. So even if I'm writing it this way, you might be tempted to write R13 and then 2 times 13. That's okay in this step right here when you actually do distributing. But your final answer, you should always have the coefficient first. So 13R plus 26. Number 33 is 3n times the quantity 4 plus x minus n. I'm going to distribute the 3 and the n. So you don't necessarily have to write 3n times 4. You don't necessarily have to do all of this round, but I am going to write everything in here just so we're all on the same page of what's actually happening. 3n distributed to each thing. So that means this first thing I can do, I have 3 times n times 4. So I do need to multiply the 3 and the 4 to get 12n. Nothing can be cleaned up here in this second term. 3nx is going to stay that way. Minus, this is going to become 3n squared because an n to the first power times an n to the first power is n to the second power. So this is your best answer. 35 is negative x times the quantity 11x plus 2y minus 3z. So again, I'm going to write out negative x times 11x plus negative x times 2y minus negative x times 3z. Now we have to clean up all of our possible multiplying, all of our exponents, all of our subtractions, positives, negatives. Okay, so this first term here, I've got an x to the first, an x to the first. Both of these are going to make it. All right, also we have to put the coefficient first. So let me do that. All right, back up. So I've got a negative, I've got 11. This is the coefficient. I've got an x squared. Then moving along, I've got plus a negative, a 2, an x, and a y. So we usually put the variables at the end in alphabetical order. Here I see two negatives next to each other, so I'm going to do plus plus. And again, coefficient first, variables in alphabetical order. Okay, this would be okay, or negative 11x squared if you just wanted to write minus 2xy plus 3xz. That would be okay as well. 37. Let me see. Mathematical expressions are used to model real-world situations. Use the distributive property to write two equivalent expressions modeling each amount. The weight on a bench press bar that is loaded with two 45-pound plates, two 25-pound plates, and two 5-pound plates. Okay, so it looks to me like I've got two 45 plates. I've got two 25 plates, and I've got two 5-pound plates. So this is one way you can write your expression. Now you know this is actually a 2 distributed across 3 numbers. So the other way is to say there's 2 times the quantity 45 plus 25 plus 5. Number 39. Identify the property used for each step in simplifying each expression. So, all right, the original is 2x plus 3y minus 4x plus 8. If you take a look at the order, I see a change in the order. I see that they moved the negative 4x and the 3y. So they changed the order that they were adding. First one there is commutative. I'm just writing addition that way. Commutative property of addition. The next thing is they moved those x's and y's so that they could group the 2x minus the 4y the 2x minus the 4x together and pull the x out. They actually applied the distributive property here because they pulled the x out. So distributive property is the second part. Okay, what do we got here now? Up to 39. Oh, that was an extra one. Well, bonus. You didn't even have to do it. Okay, anyway, so we were doing up to 37 odd, and now we need to do 43 to 51 odd, except you got a bonus 39 in there, just in case you were wondering. Number 43. 43. Identify the illustrated property or definition. Number 43, this is definition of subtraction. And the reason being because we changed the minus y into plus the opposite of y, which is what subtraction is. 45, x plus 0 equals x. This is additive identity. Additive identity. 47. 6 cubed plus 3 squared. Oh man, I forget what 6 cubed is. But I do know 6 times 6 is 36. And then a third one, 36. So 216. 216 plus 3 squared is 9. That means my final answer is 225. And then I forget already. Are we supposed to do 49? Oh, yeah. 43 to 51. Okay. So 49. 49 is 24 over 8 plus 3 times 15 minus 2 squared. 24 over 8 is 3 plus 45 minus 4. Final answer, 44. 51 is order the expressions. Absolute value of -4. 3 to the negative second. The opposite of the cubed root of -125. The square root of 20. And 2 times the quantity 6 minus 7. From least to greatest. Okay, so absolute value of -4 is 4. 3 to the negative second. So you're going to be taking 3 squared, which is 9, but the negative power tells you to write the 9 as a fraction in the denominator. So 3 to the negative second is 1/9. Then we have the opposite of the cubed root of -125, which means what number times itself 3 times gets me -125? It's -5. However, I've got that minus in front, which means the opposite. So I really have a 5. The square root of 20. Wow, this is tricky. So we don't actually know what that is. There is a way to find it. You can type it in on your calculator. However, the only thing that we know at this point is that the square root of 20 is a number between, I'm just going to write between 4 and 5. Wow. Okay. And then we've got 2 times the quantity 6 minus 7. And this is going to be -2. So 6 minus 7, you could just apply the distributive property here if you wanted to, or I just did 6 minus 7 in my head real quick, got -1 times 2 is -2. So, okay, now we need to write the expressions, not these answers here, from least to greatest. So the smallest thing is going to be this, -2. And I got that -2 from this expression, which means that's the smallest one. So I'm going to write 2 times the quantity 6 minus 7 first. What would come next? Probably my fraction here. My fraction 1/9. That came from this original expression of 3 to the negative second. Next thing would be a 4. The 4 came from the original absolute value of -4. Then I know it's going to be a number between 4 and 5, which was the square root of 20. And then finally, whatever gave me 5 here, which was the opposite. Oh boy, I don't know if I can fit this. The opposite of the cubed root of -125. Looks like that's a D. And then number 52, final one, evaluate the square root of 225 divided by 5 plus 7 times 8 minus 4 times 8. All right, first thing we always do are any square roots or exponents. Square root of 225 is 25. Divided by 5 plus 7 times 8 minus 4 times 8. Next thing you always do is any multiplication or division. So 25 divided by 5 is 5 plus 7 times 8 is 56 minus 4 times 8 is 32. All right, so I'm going to do left to right. 5 plus 56 is 61 minus 32. 61 minus 32. I got 29. Darn. My book says the answer is E, none of these. That means they tricked me. So if they tricked you, we're on the same page here. So let me see what they would be pulling out. Um, 56 minus 32. I wonder if they wanted us to, let me back up here. So 7, let me back up here to 25 divided by 5. I'm pulling out, I'm coming down here, and I'm going to say, let's get rid of this. 25 divided by 5 plus 7, wait, it should be 8. I'm going to undo the distributive property and see if I can do anything with this. 8 times the quantity 7 minus 4. 25 divided by 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3, which means I've got 25 divided by 5 plus 24, or 5 plus 24. I still get 29. What am I missing here? Oh, my word. Oh, my word. If anybody's watching this, you're like, come on, Miss Audrey, this is 15. Okay, so that's going to change everything. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 24, 25, 26, 27. Ay. 27 is what you should have gotten, which means that's not on the list. Well, there you have it. We all make mistakes. I hope you enjoyed catching mine. Maybe you caught mine before I did. All right, guys, have a good afternoon.